US reportedly sends new proposal to Iran via Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir. Proposal said to offer sanctions relief and an end to its naval blockade in return for reopening the Strait of Hormuz and halting attacks by Iran-backed troops.
Iran and Oman discusses framework for a temporary transit corridor through the Strait of Hormuz alongside a mine-clearing operation in the waterway. Oman's foreign minister says he hopes the two sides will announce the temporary corridor soon.
US-led board overseeing Gaza peace warns Hamas against flying kites as Israel threatens retaliatory strikes. Board also says that Israel must honor ceasefire and respond only to genuine, imminent threats.
Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces announced dissolution under a deal with Damascus. SDF leader Mazloum Abdi declares off the force's independent military role after years at the forefront against Islamic State.
India stresses the importance of peace and tranquility along the line of control. This during NSA Ajit Doval's talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Both sides discussed border delimitation, trans-boundary cooperation and long-term political settlement.
New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani says he does not support a planned event of RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat at Madison Square Garden, but says the city may lack jurisdiction to cancel the private gathering.
Music legend Dolly Parton dies at 80 after a brief battle with cancer. She had recently acknowledged health issues and was reportedly admitted to cancer treatment.
Copper prices are nearing record highs as the threat of US tariffs pulls supplies towards American warehouses. Now the shift is tightening availability elsewhere despite expectations of a global copper surplus.
Manchester United captain Bruno Fernandes has won the Professional Footballers Association PFA Player of the Year award. The Portuguese star won the award after breaking the all-time record for Premier League assists in the 2025-26 season. Our top focus on WION at this hour. The United States has delivered a new offer to Iran on reopening Hormuz and reviving negotiations.
Now the message was delivered to Tehran via Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir. Now reports say Washington is offering sanctions relief and an end to the naval blockade in exchange for reopening the Strait of Hormuz and halting attacks out by Iran's regional allies. Now according to reports in Saudi state-owned media, Munir carried an American proposal based on the Memorandum of Understanding previously discussed between Washington and Tehran. Now, under the proposal, the United States would be willing to end the blockade and lift sanctions if Iran reopened the Strait of Hormuz and brought an end to the activities of its so-called proxies.
Iran's National Security Chief Mohsen Rezai told Munir that Tehran would continue internal consultations and respond soon. During the visit, Munir also met with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and Interior Minister Iskandar Momeini. Now, both Pakistan and Iran have described the visit in particularly positive terms.
Well, at the same time, Iranian President Pezeshkian demanded that the United States honor its commitments and change its tone and approach towards Tehran.
Iranian newspaper Tehran Times reported the meeting with a headline saying gamblers hand revealed to Iran. Now the paper said that Munir's visit was a face-saving exercise for Donald Trump.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump says the Strait of Hormuz has now been cleared of mines. Now, Trump said all mines had been removed or detonated from international waters and warned Iran that any ship laying new mines would be destroyed. Now, the warning came as Washington steps up its naval blockade of Iranian ports and its economic pressure campaign against Tehran. A potential breakthrough is shaping over the Strait of Hormuz.
While Iran and Oman are discussing a temporary shipping corridor and a joint plan to clear mines from the strategically vital waterway, Oman's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulhadi has said that talks with his Iranian counterpart Abbas Araghchi in Tehran. The discussions focus on restoring safe navigation through the strait and managing the wider regional fallout from the conflict. In a joint statement, Iran and Oman said that they had discussed a phased framework for establishing a temporary navigational corridor through Hormuz. The plan also includes a joint project to clear mines from the waterway.
Now, Oman has indicated that it hopes to announce the temporary corridor soon, while a permanent agreement would be worked out later. Technical negotiations are expected to continue on a permanent navigation route, future administration of the strait, information sharing, traffic management, and navigational and security services.
Now, the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most important energy choke points. Roughly one-fifth of global oil consumption normally moves through the waterway, making the disruption to shipping a major concern for energy markets.
Now, the scale of the disruption is evident in recent shipping data. The reduced traffic has already forced countries to draw down commercial and strategic oil reserves. Well, Iran and Oman, which both borders the strait, have been negotiating a framework for navigation for weeks now. Tehran has said the geographical coordinates of an envisaged route have already been agreed.
However, Iran continues to link the full reopening of the waterway to demands including the lifting of the US naval blockade, removal of oil sanctions and unfreezing of Iranian assets abroad. Both countries also stress the importance of involving other states which are bordering the Gulf.
Now, the outcome could have major implications for global energy security, shipping and oil prices as the world watches whether a temporary corridor can restore at least limited movement through the Strait of Hormuz.
And in a major development in Syria, the head of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces has announced the group's dissolution as part of the deal with the government in Damascus.
Well, of course, now the development comes just days after the United States removed Syria from its list of state sponsors from terrorism, ending a designation that has been in place since 1979.
The Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, were formed in 2015 with US backing, and they became the United States' main partner in the fight against the Islamic State group. At their peak, the forces numbered around 100,000 fighters and controlled large areas of northern and northeastern Syria, including territories rich in oil resources. But after clashes with the government forces earlier this year, the SDF lost significant chunks of territory. Under the agreement reached with Damascus, Kurdish military and civilian institutions, they are being brought under the authority of the Syrian state.
Following the agreement with President al-Sharia and the completion of the integration of our forces into units of the Syrian army, we announce today the end of the mission of the Syrian Democratic Forces and declare, with full responsibility, their dissolution as an independent military force.
The United States has welcomed the move. U.S. Special Envoy to Syria and Iraq, Tom Barrack, described the dissolution of the SDF and its integration into the Syrian army as a historic step towards a unified Syria. He said the move represents real integration, not winners or losers, but former counterparts reaching a diplomatic solution to strengthen Syria's sovereignty. He summed up the new arrangement as one army, one government, one state.
Now, the development comes as the US takes another major step towards rebuilding ties with Damascus. The US has removed Syria from its list of state sponsors of terrorism, ending a designation that dates back to 1979. The move took effect on Monday after a 45-day congressional review. President Ahmed al-Sharaa called it a historic step that could help accelerate Syria's economic recovery.
Meanwhile, tensions remain high in southern Syria. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has vowed that Israeli forces will remain in the area as long as Israel considers threats to its security to persist. Now, Katz made a rare visit to Israeli troops in southern Syria near the Golan Heights.
There is daily Israeli activity here to thwart threats, to eliminate remnants of the old regime, to prevent dangerous consolidation of the new regime. And the message is clear to the president of Syria as well. When you wake up in the morning in your palace in Damascus, look up at Mount Hermon and see the Israel Defense Forces. You know we are here to protect our communities and our border. And this is the best message. As long as there are threats, the IDF will remain here to ensure our security.
Israel has maintained troops in what it describes as a security zone since the fall of Bashar al-Assad in December 2024. Damascus has condemned the Israeli presence and Israel Katz's latest visit as a violation of Syrian sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Moving on, our U.S. Central Intelligence Agency Director John Ratcliffe reportedly visited Moscow on Tuesday in what would be his first known visit to Russia as CIA head.
While the details emerged as visuals of an unmarked C-17 military transport aircraft landing in Moscow went viral on social media. According to CNN, US had asked Ukraine to halt drone and missile strikes in Moscow and other cities in the north of Russia ahead of Ratcliffe's visit. CBS News quoted sources who are familiar with the matter as confirming Ratcliffe's trip, while Axios separately reported on the visit quoting two US officials.
Well, the CNN also reported that the C-17 aircraft landed at Moscow's Vnukovo International Airport, while the flight itself had taken off from Flight Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Now, data from tracking site Flight Radar 24 had earlier shown a U.S. military C-17 traveling from the U.S. to Latvia and then on to Moscow's Vnukovo Airport.
The purpose of the CIA director's unannounced visit was not immediately clear, though it comes amid escalating tensions in the Ukraine war, as negotiations to end the war between Russia and Ukraine have stalled. So far, there has been no immediate comment from the CIA, the White House, or the Kremlin.
Meanwhile, British media has reported the death of a UK citizen who died fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Well, according to reports, 33-year-old Bradley Townsend died on 10th of June following an attack by a remote-controlled drone in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region. UK's Foreign Office said that it was aware of reports that a British national had died in Ukraine and were in contact with his family. However, it did not confirm his identity.
Well, Townsend was originally from South Yorkshire in northern England and had confirmed in a video interview posted in April that he had travelled to Russia to fight on its side in Ukraine. The interview was conducted by two British volunteers who were reportedly been given Russian citizenship for fighting in Ukraine's Donbas region. Both Ukraine and Russia have recruited foreign fighters throughout the war, but there are few recorded cases of Britons fighting on behalf of Russia.
Well, amid all of this, 3 people, including 2 Chinese citizens, died while over 100 people were wounded as a result of the blaze at the Amur gas chemical complex. Well, according to the company, 24 people were also taken to the hospital with more or less serious injuries and 122 others sustained light injuries. Now, the facility is a joint venture between Russia's Sibur and the China Petroleum and Chemical Corporation, which is located in Russia's far eastern Amur region.
On the other hand, the UN has condemned Russian double-tap strike on a shopping center on Ukraine's Kryvyi in the Dnipro region, which killed at least 16 people. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said the violence continued to endanger aid operations. Listen to this.
One of the deadliest attacks was a so-called double-tap attack on a busy shopping mall in Kryvyi in the Dnipro region. Matthias Schmale, our humanitarian coordinator in Ukraine, condemned the attack and reiterated that civilians must always be protected under international humanitarian law. Civilians and casualties were also reported in Chernihiv and in Donetsk, Dnipro, Kharkiv, Sumy, and Zaporizhzhia, where homes, a school, shops, and vehicles and other infrastructure, civilian infrastructure, were damaged. All of this continues to put vital aid operations at risk.
U.S. country music icon and celebrated philanthropist Dolly Parton has died at the age of 80.
Parton, who rose from humble beginnings to become one of America's most beloved entertainers, died on Tuesday at her home in Nashville. Well, over a career spanning decades, Parton wrote more than 3,000 songs, starred in major Hollywood films, and donated millions of dollars to charities. Parton won 10 Grammy Awards and 13 Academy of Country Music Awards during her extraordinary career. Her greatest hits included Jolene, Coat of Many Colors, and I Will Always Love You, the ballad that became a global hit for Whitney Houston. But Parton's empire extended far beyond music. She built a business empire that included Dollywood theme park, along with ventures in beauty, food, pet products, and hospitality.
Well, tributes have poured in from across the United States and beyond. Hollywood honored her with a floral wreath at his Stardust Walk of Fame.
Out of the way.
Her death has also brought a rare moment of unity in a deeply polarized America. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered American flags to be lowered to half-staff, and this across the country for a whole week, calling Parton's death a true loss for millions. Trump wrote on Truth Social, "There has never been anyone like her and never will." Meanwhile, former President Bill Clinton called Parton one of a kind.
The fans around the world have been paying tribute to the Queen of Country Music. For millions, Dolly Parton was more than a music icon. She was a symbol of the American dream. And beyond her music and business success, she was remembered for her humility, kindness, and generosity.
She's the American dream. I mean, look where she started, and she worked hard and believed in herself and what America could do. And she was amazing.
She was a very caring human being that looked out for everybody. That's what I would say about her. She was a good human being, a nice person who cared about everybody.
We lost an angel today, and it's affecting me still.
If America had royalty, right, she would be one of them. It's like losing our Princess Diana.
Canada has hit back at the United States with retaliatory tariffs on roughly $20 billion worth of U.S. annual imports, matching Washington's recent duties dollar for dollar.
And the escalation follows a breakdown of trade talks and the Trump administration's implementation of 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. The retaliatory measures are scheduled to take effect on September 8th. The duties will impose 15%, 25% and 50% tariffs across roughly 700 U.S. product lines. A 50% tariff rate applies to steel, aluminum, furniture and clothing. A 25% tariff rate targets cheese, appliances and select seafood. And a 15% tariff rate affects electronics and tools. The targeted sectors also include agricultural equipment, plastics and pulp and paper.
Now, the Canadian government unveiled a multi-billion-dollar support package valued $5.4 billion to aid impacted businesses and workers. The Canadian finance minister stated that the measures are designed to be proportionate, targeted and strategic.
That's why we'll present the outline of our Canada Strong Responses Plan with targeted countermeasures and a substantive support package for workers and businesses totaling $7.5 billion. Because when Canadians stand together, nothing can stop us.
The trade escalation follows the collapse of bilateral talks and the U.S. implementation of 50% duties on approximately $28 billion worth of Canadian exports. U.S. President Donald Trump has defended the American measures And this is by criticizing Canada's historical agricultural tariffs and trade practices on Truth Social. He stated that Canada has been ripping off the United States for decades by charging US farmers 400% tariffs and more.
Furthermore, US President has stated that he is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. Canadian Industry Minister Melanie Joly has responded, saying that Canada will always call it Lake Ontario.
Lake Ontario. Great Lakes, period.
Well, more than 3 billion people play video games worldwide, making the gaming community one of the largest and fastest growing groups on earth.
Hardcore gamers and strategic thinkers and are sharp problem solvers, but can gaming make one a spy? Well, that's what's happening in Germany. The BND, the German equivalent of Britain's MI6, is reportedly set to attend the world's largest video game festival in Germany's Cologne to hunt for a new generation of tech-savvy spies.
Now, according to a report by The Telegraph, the agency says the gamers have skills that could help fight Russian cyber attacks. It has further said that there is a significant overlap between gaming skills and the cyber expertise it needs. Selected gamers will take part in a 5-step challenge testing their cybersecurity and hacking abilities.
Essentially, what was once seen as a mere pastime in the realm of virtual reality is now being considered as a potential military asset.
Now, BND's recruitment drive comes as Germany steps up its intelligence and defense capabilities. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, well, Germany has faced repeated alleged Russian cyber attacks targeting government, political and critical infrastructure.
Last week, Germany's cabinet had granted the BND new powers to carry out non-lethal sabotage and cyber attacks abroad. Now, this could also very well be a sign of how the spy game is changing worldwide. Quick reactions, cyber know-how, and digital expertise are increasingly becoming valuable tools in modern intel gathering.
We'll take America, for example, where gamers are being recruited to help control the skies. The Federal Aviation Administration, the U.S. agency that oversees aviation safety and air traffic control, is targeting gamers in its drive to hire air traffic controllers.
The FAA campaign, launched in April, has reportedly helped induct over 2,000 new controllers, reaching about 94% of its hiring target this year. Now, the FAA is now fast tapping into skills such as fast decision-making, multitasking, strategy and problem-solving, central to great gaming and potentially spying too.
Well, for years now, the U.S. military has turned to gaming and e-sports to reach new recruits. Now, as drones and unmanned systems transform the battlefield, well, gaming skills are taking the lead.
The U.S. Department of Defense has documented military gaming programs, while the Army continues to expand its use of unmanned systems.
But the pressing question is, can today's gamers become tomorrow's spies and help governments meet the security challenges of a rapidly changing world? Well, one has to wait and watch.
And before we slip into a very short break on World DNA, here's a look at some of the images that have caught the world's attention. Stay with us, you're watching WION World is One.
what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the coolest spa at home.
The architecture of war is changing. Geography is no longer a shield. The battlefield now stretches from sea to space. New weapons, new technologies, new theaters of conflict. From the factory floor to the firing range, from India's frontiers to the world's biggest defense exhibition. Meet the veterans, industry stalwarts and innovators as India builds its military capabilities. Your 360-degree insight into the future of warfare. Watch Defense Pulse with me, Shivan Chandra.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the coolest spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the coolest spa at home.
The architecture of war is changing. Geography is no longer a shield. The battlefield now stretches from sea to space.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One and this is World DNA. I'm Adya Taneja and my colleague Diksha Bisla. Let's start with the headlines we're tracking for you at this hour.
Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Qasim Garibabadi says that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed despite a temporary Oman transit agreement, insisting Washington must honor its commitments before full reopening.
US President Donald Trump sends a proposed civil nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia to Congress, but the deal will only proceed if Riyadh normalizes relations with Israel, reports say, linking nuclear cooperation to diplomatic ties.
Reports say CIA Director John Ratcliffe travels to Moscow for unannounced talks. Neither Washington nor Moscow has confirmed the visit's purpose, while flight data confirmed a US military aircraft's journey.
India stresses the importance of peace and tranquility along the LAC during NSA Ajit Doval's talks with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Well, both sides discuss border delimitation, trans-boundary cooperation and long-term political settlement.
Imran Khan's son demand an independent medical examination for him, challenging Pakistan government to prove his health. They accuse authorities of violating a Supreme Court order and denying access to his personal physician.
Music legend Dolly Parton dies at the age of 80 after a brief battle with cancer. She had recently acknowledged health issues and was reportedly admitted for cancer treatment.
Volkswagen is warning workers to brace for thousands of further job cuts as it battles Chinese competition, US tariffs and weak European demand. CEO Oliver Bloom says that around half of the required workforce adjustments could come in Germany.
US Open singles champion Carlos Alcaraz and Serena Williams made a stunning debut in the opening mixed doubles draw by defeating British-New Zealand pair of Lloyd Gaspool and Emma Routliffe 5-3 and 3-1.
The sons of jailed former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan are demanding an independent medical examination for their father.
Well, they are challenging the Pakistani government to provide proof of Khan's health, accusing authorities of violating a Supreme Court order on his medical care. Well, in an online press briefing, Khan's sons alleged that their father's treatment in jail amounts to a human rights violation. They cited concerns raised by UN bodies, members of the US Congress and Britain's House of Lords. Listen into this.
What my father is going through is a violation of his human rights. And we're not alone in saying this. This week, 21 former international cricket captains, including the greatest names of Indian cricket, wrote to Pakistan's Prime Minister asking that he receive medical care. And our mother asked the British government how much longer it will remain silent. The entire world is asking Pakistan to do one thing, obey its own courts.
They also demanded that Khan be examined by independent doctors, saying this is the only way to verify the government's claims about his health and address the family's concerns.
I just want to say, if, I'm almost certain the government will come out with some statement saying he's completely fine, we've checked him in our facilities. If that is the case, I would love to challenge them to show proof of that, allow him to enter an independent hospital with independent physicians so they can just have a completely neutral check to see what his condition is, put our minds at ease, and prove that what you're saying isn't another lie.
The demand comes after a 3-judge Supreme Court bench on 18th of August ordered authorities to transfer Khan from Adiala jail to Shifa International Hospital in Islamabad within 2 days for a medical examination.
Instead, officials took Khan to the state-run PIMS hospital overnight on Friday for a brief checkup, before returning him to Adiala jail, and Khan was also not allowed to see his personal physician, something that his party says was another breach of the court's directions.
Now, Khan's sister Noreen Niazi met him at Adiala jail on Tuesday for the second consecutive week in line with the Supreme Court's directions. Khan has been in prison since August 2023, facing multiple cases he says are politically motivated. His imprisonment followed a political showdown with Pakistan's powerful military establishment and his removal from office in 2022.
Well, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has said that he does not support the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS upcoming event in the city.
Well, Mamdani's comments came as RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat landed in New York on Tuesday. Well, Bhagwat was received with a traditional tilak on arrival. He is scheduled to address the Indian diaspora at the Universal Oneness celebrations at Madison Square Garden on 29th of August, an event tied to the RSS centenary year and timed around Raksha Bandhan. Well, this is the first stop of his three-nation outreach tour covering the US, Canada and the UK.
Speaking at an unrelated press briefing on emergency housing court cases, Mamdani was asked directly whether the rally should be cancelled. He said he was opposed to it but did not believe the city had the authority to intervene in a private event. Listen to this.
I also stand here as the first Indian American mayor in our city's history, and my mother's family is all still in India, and the vision of India that I was taught by my family and the one that I grew up being very familiar with was of a pluralistic society, of a secular republic that believed in the belonging of each and every person who was from India. And it has been incredibly troubling to see the rise of a movement that is predicated on an exclusionary vision of any country, frankly.
Well, days earlier, the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, USCIRF, renewed talks for Washington to avoid high-level engagement with RSS leadership and pushed for possible sanctions. A recommendation on India's Ministry of External Affairs has rejected outright.
MEA spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal called USCIRF a biased body that has repeatedly made incorrect and provocative statements about India, and said that such assessments should be disregarded.
Moving on now, former Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan has received and revealed crucial details of the planning and decision-making that preceded India's counter-terror strikes in Pakistan under Operation Sindoor.
Speaking at an event in New Delhi, Chauhan said that the decision to strike targets in Pakistan was taken by the Indian government. He says Prime Minister Narendra Modi provided clear political direction for the operation. Not just that, Chauhan also reveals that Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had insisted that Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur in Pakistan's Punjab province be included under Operation Sindoor in May 2025.
Chauhan further reveals an Indian loitering munition might have struck Pakistan's nuclear-linked site Kirana Hills during the operation. Well, listen into this.
At occasions it's been asked whether Kirana Hills were hit or not. That's where their nuclear facilities are there. And with Bharti had rightly clarified that we did not target Kirana Hills. I can maybe given kind of an explanation. Before those strikes, we had sent in a lot of loiter ammunitions at Sargodha. And Kirana Hills is about 10 kilometers north of Sargodha. So the loiter ammunition is looking for radars which are in around Sargodha. And it's got a lifetime, means time. It will loiter for about 2 hours, and once it doesn't find a target, then it comes down and hits somewhere. It must have come and hit, one of those hills.
Chauhan says Operation Sindoor unfolded in 3 phases: surgical strikes, drone used by both sides to deceive, and India's counter strikes on May 10th. He says Islamabad sought talks within hours after its operation folded up in about 8 hours.
Well, remarking on the planning done before Operation Sindoor, Chauhan further revealed that the strikes were carried out around midnight as India wanted to minimize civilian casualties. He added India had superior situational awareness and battlefield transparency during the operation.
Now, on the scale and nature of India's military response, Chauhan said that India opted for selective mobilization And these include secure mobile phones for top leadership, including Foreign, Defense and Home Secretary, and no WhatsApp use for communication.
Well, Operation Sindoor is India's strategic response to the Pahalgam terror attack in April last year, which killed 26 Indian civilians in the Kashmir Valley.
In other news, police have registered a case of abetment to suicide against unidentified persons, and this in connection with the death of an IIT Delhi student.
Well, the student, 31-year-old Rishikesh Kumar, allegedly died by suicide after jumping from a building on the institute's campus on 22nd of August. Rishikesh's death has triggered intense on-campus demonstrations with students seeking accountability and justice.
The institute has so far offered an external inquiry committee, financial assistance through its benevolent fund, and a separate fund for voluntary contributions from students, faculty and staff. However, it has not agreed to the demands for resignations of specific compensations.
Now, several parts of the campus remain cordoned off, with access to buildings and corridors restricted, as thousands of students have gathered on campus, with a sit-in continuing.
Rishikesh died after falling from the 6th floor of the lecture hall complex. Police have said that no suicide note has been recovered and that the circumstances surrounding his death and the role, if any, of others are being investigated.
Now, fresh satellite imagery reveals China is rapidly pushing forward on what analysts believe will be its largest military base in the disputed South China Sea, centering on a massive artificial island at Antelope Reef.
Well, commercial satellite imagery captured by Vantor, a satellite image provider, has revealed fresh construction activity in South China Sea. Construction activity has been reported on Yagong Island, situated northeast of Antelope Reef, within the crescent group of the Parcels Archipelago. And these three prolonged structural developments could mark the early stages of a military radar and early warning facility. While confirmations are still awaited, the architectural layout closely mirrors military surveillance installations spotted elsewhere across the South China Sea.
Now, this follows the completion of heavy reclamation of nearby Antelope Reef, where a massive 6-kilometer artificial island with a straight coast exceeding 3 kilometers had earlier been constructed. Chinese state media has dismissed military concerns, claiming the base will only serve civilian functions like weather forecasting and research.
China has maintained a tight grip on the island group since seizing it from the navy of the former South Vietnam in 1974. As Beijing accelerates its land reclamation campaign with minimal international pushback, this strategic expansion threatens to further inflame geopolitical tensions and alter the military balance in the South China Sea region. A decade ago, India introduced a payment system that fundamentally changed how people transact. Today, UPI has become one of the world's largest real-time payment networks, moving billions of transactions every month.
But as UPI completes 10 years, we look at the numbers behind India's digital payments revolution and how a homegrown payment platform has become a global model. Well, take a look at our next report. UPI completes 10 years this year, marking a major transformation in how Indians transfer and spend money. Launched by NPCI in 2016 with just 21 banks, while UPI has now expanded to 741 live banks. Annual transaction volumes have jumped from around 2 crore rupees in financial year 2017 to 24,162 crore rupees in financial year 2026, a nearly 13,000-fold increase. From person-to-person transfers to payments at neighborhood stores, e-commerce platforms and government services, UPI has become a central part of India's digital payments ecosystem. The scale of UPI is now visible in its monthly numbers. In July 2026 alone, the network processed 23 billion transactions. Now that translates to more than 760 million transactions on the busiest days. QR codes have been a major driver of this expansion, allowing even small merchants and street vendors to accept digital payments without expensive point-of-sale infrastructure. UPI has also expanded beyond basic bank transfers with features such as UPI Lite, RuPay credit card payments, auto-pay and delegated payments. On-device authentication and Aadhaar-based face authentication are among the newer features aimed at making payments simpler and more accessible. UPI's growth have also been given India a significant presence in the global real-time payments landscape. According to the IMF, UPI accounted for nearly 49% of global real-time payment transaction volume in 2024. The network has also expanded internationally and is currently accepted in 11 countries. Well, this includes Singapore, the UAE, France, Mauritius, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, Qatar, Greece and the Maldives. Beyond payments, UPI has helped build a wider fintech ecosystem around an open and interoperable digital infrastructure. 10 years after its launch, the platform has evolved from a simple payment mechanism into one of the key pillars of India's digital public infrastructure. Business Bureau, WION, World is One. Well, Brazil has fined ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, almost $30 million over allegedly processing the personal data of teenagers without a valid legal basis.
And the country's data protection authority says the case involves users who are aged between 13 and 18. Brazil's Data Protection Authority, or ANPD, said that ByteDance's local unit breached the country's general data protection law. The authority has ordered the company to delete the data of teenagers where their legal representation or assistance has not been properly established. ByteDance must also notify third parties that receive the data and submit a technical report and system audit logs showing compliance.
A failure to meet their requirements could lead to a daily fine of around $26,550 until the company complies. The fine can be reduced by 25% if ByteDance gives up its right to appeal within 10 business days and pays the penalty within 20 business days.
Brazil is increasingly scrutinizing how online platforms protect children and teenagers. Remember, earlier this month, the Data Protection Authority ordered Discord to suspend live streaming features, and this over concerns about young users' exposure to harmful content.
The move is part of a wider global push to tighten rules around children's use of social media, with countries including Australia, France and China also introducing or considering stronger safeguards.
In other news, Instagram chief Adam Mosseri has testified in a major case against Meta before a federal court in the United States.
A social media platform is accused of designing its platforms to keep children and teenagers hooked while downplaying the risks. Now, Mosseri was questioned by lawyers representing a coalition of 29 U.S. states. The states say Meta knew its safety features were not being widely used, but still promoted them publicly. Now, Mosseri has acknowledged in the court that some teen safety tools had a very low adoption rate when they were first launched. Mosseri was also questioned about his blog posted in 2021 that highlighted strong retention among teens who had already activated a safety feature, which was completely opposite of what revealed in the court.
Well, Mosseri acknowledged that Meta did not disclose the very low initial adoption rate. But he pushed back on the idea that the features were ineffective. He said adoption was significantly improved since then, and some safety features were later turned on by default for teen accounts. He also said that there is no single solution to teen safety.
Now, internal Meta documents shown in court put adoption of a take-a-break feature at about 1.8%. Quiet mode, which silences late-night notifications, had an adoption rate of about 8.7%. Former Meta employees testified that the tools were widely promoted despite being aware of very less effect. It has also been alleged that making the features default could be impactful, but it was not done as it could reduce user engagement.
Now, the states allege that Meta designed its products to keep teenagers engaged for longer. They point to infinite scrolling, autoplay, notifications and likes as features that could drive compulsive use. The states say that Meta studied adolescent brain development and used that knowledge in product design. They also accuse Meta of hiding internal research on teen mental health risks. That included research linking Instagram use with depression and anxiety. The state also cited research on body image and self-harm risks. And they allege that Meta collected data from children under 13 without verifiable parental consent.
England captain Joe Root says that he is disappointed after yet another off-field controversy that has gripped the English cricket team.
Now, here's what he had to say about the Bryden Cars nightclub incident. Listen to this.
I mean, if I'm being brutally honest, I'm really hacked off. I'm really disappointed that after last week's performance, we're sat here and we're talking about nothing related to it at all. And in terms of the incident itself, it's obviously with the regulator. There's not a lot I can say on it. It's in their hands now. Yeah, I don't think it's not the isolated incident itself. I think it's the fact that we continually keep making stupid mistakes away from the game, and it's detracting from what we're doing on the field.
Fast bowler Bryden Cars was involved in an incident at a nightclub in Derby on Saturday. The 31-year-old was seen in handcuffs in the video circulating on social media. He was arrested by the police and was released soon after.
Well, Cars has soon been dropped from the squad set to face Pakistan in the second test, which begins on Thursday at Lord's. Cars is a centrally contracted player and was allowed to play for his country, Durham against Derbyshire. It was after Derby's victory that the nightclub incident took place.
Well, alcohol and nightclub controversies have piled up in recent months for English cricket. In June, during the series against New Zealand, Ben Stokes and fast bowler Gus Atkinson was involved in a nightclub brawl. Stokes subsequently announced his requirement soon after the episode.
Well, Root was then appointed captain of the test team again, and he then scrapped off the midnight curfew, saying that at the time he trusted the players will behave like adults. The English Cricket Board has confirmed that it has opened an investigation into the latest incident. That's all we had for you in this edition of World DNA. But before we slip into a very short break, here's a quick look at the climate stories making headlines across the world. Stay tuned. You're watching WION World this morning.
your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION The World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real Madrid. Now, the man who...
Welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's get started with Speed News. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Gharibabadi has said that the Strait of Hormuz remains shut despite a temporary transit agreement with Oman. He said that the arrangement would create a new shipping corridor but does not amount to a full reopening of the strategic waterway. Gharibabadi insisted that Iran must first assess whether the United States is prepared to honor its commitments or not, including lifting pressure on Iran before moving to the next stage. The leader of the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, Mazloum Abdi, has announced the group's dissolution under a deal with the government to integrate its forces into the Syrian army. The US-backed SDF, formed in 2015, played a key role in the fight against the Islamic State and at its peak numbered around 100,000 fighters. US envoy Tom Barak welcomed the move as a step towards one army, one government, one state. The agreement strengthens President Abdel Ahmed al-Shara's control but deals a blow to long-standing Kurdish aspirations for autonomy. Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has said that there is no UNRWA after Israeli security forces
raided a training center of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees in East Jerusalem. Ben-Gvir said that the facility would no longer operate under UNRWA and would instead be used as a school. He also accused it of the supporters of backing terrorism and said that they should be expelled. President Donald Trump has sent Congress a proposed civil nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia while insisting that the deal will only take effect if Riyadh normalizes ties with Israel. The agreement reached in July would allow US companies to export civil and nuclear technology to Saudi Arabia, including Westinghouse reactors. Congress now has 90 days to review the pact. A U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter went down in a wooded area in Colorado's foothills west of Denver on Tuesday. Officials described the incident as aviation mishap, with no injuries reported. Aerial images showed the UH-60 Black Hawk lying in a wooded area in Gilpin County. China and the United States held their third track 1.5 dialogue in Beijing, calling for stronger communication, political trust and strategic stability in bilateral ties. Representatives discussed cooperation in trade, artificial intelligence, healthcare and food security, as well as people-to-people exchanges, while stressing the need to manage differences and address global challenges together. The dialogue was co-hosted by the CPC Central Commitments International Department and the Asia Society, with around 40 Chinese and US representatives participating. Russian strikes have triggered multiple fires in the eastern Ukrainian city of Kramatorsk, with firefighters battling blazes in damaged residential buildings. Authorities say 9 bombs hit the city, injuring 24 people, including a 2-month-old baby as well. Emergency crews also rescued 4 residents from locked apartments while repeatedly taking cover amid the threat of further strikes. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has met former US boxing champion Terence Crawford in Kiev, where the boxer presented him with an American pit bull terrier puppy named Freya. The puppy has been named after the Ukrainian anti-ballistic missile defense project, according to reports. The puppy's grandfather survived the Russian occupation of Bucha and was later rescued and taken to Houston. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has voiced his opposition to an upcoming event that featured Rashtriya Swami Sevak Sangh Chief Mohan Bhagwat at Madison Square Garden, while acknowledging that the city authorities may not have the legal power to cancel a privately organized gathering. Bhagwat is set to address around 5,000 members of the Indian diaspora on 29th of August at the Universal Oneness celebration. Mamdani said that he favors a pluralistic and secular vision of India and opposes what he describes as RSS exclusionary politics. At least 47 people have been killed and more than 50 others kidnapped after armed gangs attacked Kenskov, a community in the hills above Haiti's capital. The United Nations says at least 5 people were among those killed in Sunday's attack. Local officials say gang members also set fire to around 25 houses. The attack is believed to be one of Haiti's largest mass kidnappings in recent years. The violence also comes as Haiti prepares for general elections in the month of December, which is also going to be its first in more than a decade's time. The United Nations says that gang violence has displaced a record 1.5 million people across Haiti, with more than 3,000 people killed between January and June. Brazilian presidential candidate Flavio Bolsonaro has held an election rally in Rio de Janeiro ahead of October's presidential vote. The 45-year-old senator and eldest son of former President Jair Bolsonaro addressed thousands of supporters at at the stadium, saying campaigning was not easy and cited security challenges facing his family. Trade unions, social movements and organizations representing indebted people marched to the Economy Ministry in Buenos Aires, demanding solutions to the growing household debt crisis. Central bank data shows around 5.8 million people are more than 90 days behind on debt payments, as rising costs, stagnant wages and longer repayment terms put further pressure on households. India has stressed that peace and tranquility along the border with China are essential for the overall development of bilateral ties. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in Beijing for the 25th round of special representatives talks on the long-standing border dispute. The two sides reviewed progress in bilateral ties and discussed advancing boundary delimitation alongside continued cooperation on trans-border issues. Hundreds of Sufi Muslims gathered in Cairo to mark the birth of Prophet Muhammad, known as Mawlid al-Nabawi. Worshippers carried banners, chanted praises and played drums as they marched from the Sidi Saleh al-Jafari Mosque to the Al-Hussein Mosque. In historic Cairo, organizers said that 48 Sufi orders took part in this year's celebrations, with participants describing the occasion as a time to renew their faith and honor the Prophet. Tunisians marked the birthday of Prophet Muhammad with a lively music parade through the narrow streets of the historic Medina in Tunis. Musicians and dancers from different regions joined the procession, filling the old city with traditional rhythms, and crowds gathered to celebrate Mawlid. Organizers say that the event also aims to preserve Stambali, which is a traditional Tunisian music form with African roots, and keep the cultural tradition alive. An eyewitness video showed a tornado swirling through the village of Hormuz in southwestern France as powerful winds ripped roofs from homes and caused widespread devastation. Authorities say dozens of people were injured, while around 300 of the village's 500 homes were damaged. About 100 may no longer be safe to live in, prompting the evacuation of residents. The tornado struck as severe thunderstorms moved across southern France following an intense heat wave. Winds were estimated to have reached